Okay, so we were talking about our minor positions and patterns. We learned 3 positions and we learned how to cycle them through octaves for kind of a minor sound. We were in E minor. For this lesson, we're going to move to B minor. We're going to learn one more sequence, and then we're going to learn how to use the Kotzen pattern through this stuff. So as a quick review, we have our either 1, 2, 3 or 1, 3, 4 fingering. We have our 1, 2, 4 fingering, and then our expanded 1, 2, 4. And we do that through different octaves. So the first note of our first pattern, so you have, if you take a pattern, go down a string and up 2 frets, down a string and up 3 frets, and then you have 3 different scale patterns that have the same fingering that you can use everywhere. So you can move across, you can move up and down. So the last sequence we're going to learn before we get into Kotzen, the kind of Kotzen, Richie Kotzen thing, is kind of a Steve Luthorcorp sequence, or I call it Steve Luthorcorp sequence. It's kind of a stair-step exercise. So we're in B, just to kind of get used to moving these ideas around. And what we have is we're going to descend 4 notes at a time until we reach the last note in our pattern. So it's going to sound like this. So all we're doing, if we're picking it, you can do it picking or legato. If you're using alternate picking, you're just going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up the whole time. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Start from the next highest note. Start from the next highest note. So, same for all the patterns. And what you can move that. You can start here and do it. You can repeat it. And you can also go through all of your octaves. So you could move to your next octave. Move to your next octave. That works for all of them. Sorry. Now, if we're using legato, we're going to pick the first note and pull off 2 notes. Pick, pull off, pull off. Pick. So you have down, pull off, down. Then for the next 4, you have an up, pull off, downstroke, pull off. Upstroke, pull off, pull off. Down, down, up, down, up, down. And this is a 16th note bass sequence. Sounds very Steve Luthorcorp as you get at a higher tempo. Think kind of hold the line sounding. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the Kotzen pattern. And as we, talked about, we're in B, we would have a hammer on with a downstroke. Downstroke, hammer on, roll your finger down. Catch that string with your middle finger of your pick hand. Roll back up, downstroke, pull off, hammer on. If we were going to do it through these patterns, what I would suggest doing first is doing and you essentially have an arpeggio. So it's a D, basically a D arpeggio. So you have pick with a downstroke, hammer on, roll your finger down, middle finger, roll your finger back up, downstroke, hammer on, or pull off, hammer on. Then you move it to your next pattern. And with your pinky, it's kind of a stretch. You can also do it with your... You can do that as a 16th note based lick or a sextuplet. So 16th notes would be sixes. So what you can do it a couple different ways. You can either ascend or descend on a string set. So this is the same. Or you can do octaves. So you'd have, and then move to your next octave. Move to your next octave. And you get some really wide, crazy sort of interval sounds. So once again, that's a downstroke, hammer on, roll your finger down so you can catch the note underneath where your pinky was on the E string, on the A string, and then roll back up, downstroke, hammer on, or pull off, hammer on. For the next pattern, it would be the exact same. So it looks the same for the first two, and the third one just has a little bit more stretch, one extra fret of stretch. So you can do some cool stuff like, sorry. Get some really scary kind of sounding stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play all of the sequences that we've talked about in the past two videos and the expanded Kotzen lick over a backing track. Notes, picking, sixes,
Bye.